will be top 5 heroes. Last week we had anti-heroes, so this week it's going to be my top 5 heroes. So, no word of ado, let's start it off. Number 5 is going to be Iron Man, who started off in Tales of Suspense, and he has been an enduring character, and he was invented in 1963 by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and he's been strong in the public domain ever since they started off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Iron Man has to be one of my favourite characters. The whole mix of being a rich billionaire, having all the power and having all the Playboy action, and plus being like a really cool superhero with all the different armours. One of my favourites has to be the Hulkbuster armour, but there are plenty of others that have been in the films. There's so many good storylines, and he's got a really good sort of villain in the Mandarin. And of course there's so much wealth of content. If you've not read any of the Marvel Iron Man stories, you can easily pick them up. One suggestion would be to start with the Ultimate series actually, because that's an origin story and there's not that many, so you could pick them up and read through. So yeah, Iron Man is really great, but he's only number 5. Let's see who number 4 is. Number 4 is Captain America, aka Steve Rogers. He was created in 1941 and he was in a comic book called Captain America, believe it or not, issue 1. And Captain America was created by Marvel comic books as like almost like a sort of a we can do this, and it was like something for the war effort, and it was someone to watch, and it was really cool that you saw a superhero beating up, you know, Hitler. And that's why I think he was created, was to actually give the American public something to get behind that was fictional, and they could read about the war stories and see what happens. And I think it's really good that you saw someone with a power defeating Hitler and saving the world, and I think that's why he's an enduring superhero, because he's always there to defeat the bad guys, and he's one of the ones that you think, yeah, Captain America will do it. And I think that's why he's one of my favourites, because he's almost steadfast and he can really kick ass. With martial arts training and superpowers of the chemicals that got pumped into his body as the experiments. But then, you know, I think he's more than that now. He's got the shield, the symbol, he's got the star on the chest. There's so much more to Captain America than just the superpowers. I think he'd be a good superhero even if he was slightly depowered. He is one of my favourites, and that's why he's number 4. Number 3 is the Asgardian god of thunder, Thor. Yes, that's right, he is one of my favourites, guys. He is almost unlimited power personified. With his hammer, Mjolnir, he manages to defeat almost every foe in the known universe. He was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1962, and he is once again another enduring superhero. There is not many superheroes that have been around that long. You could say that there's just so much, there's so many good storylines that Thor has been in. And, you know, with the Avengers and with his own solo books as well. So I think Thor is one of my favourites. You know, and he is once again much more than just a hammer. There's so much more character in him than you wouldn't believe. I know, there's just so much there. With his powers of the thunder, the lightning, and his teammates, his steadfast hold with Captain America, Iron Man, and the other Avengers. He makes a really good team player, but then he does just go off on his own every now and again for his own missions. But you know, he's a really cool character and a very inventive one, and that's why he's still enduring now, and a very enjoyable character as well. There's some really good storylines in the Ultimate Universe and the 616 Universe as well. And that's why he's my top number 3. Now, on to number 2. Number 2 is The Amazing Spider-Man. Created by Stan the Man Lee and Steve Ditko, this character was bitten by a radioactive spider as a teenager and then held responsibility and power. Ever since his Uncle Ben died, he decided to use those powers from the radioactive spider for good. He's got the proportional strength of any spider. He in some cases has got unlimited webbing, but in most of the storylines now he has a very good intelligent mind and is able to create lots of different things to go along with the spider power, including webbing, different types of costumes to defeat different bad guys. Say an example would be Electro, so he would use an anti-electric suit. There's loads of different variations on the character. You've got SpiderMan 2099, you've got SpiderMan Noir, you've got loads and loads of different characters. Ultimate Spider-Man's another popular one. There's so many different universes and so many different takes on the character. He's a very, very interesting character, and once again has lasted long times, and he has been going since the 60s as well. A lot of these characters that are still popular now are able to keep going since the 60s. I wonder why that is. Was it because they had an original thought and they've not been able to replicate it since, so they just keep changing the ideas up, like music? I don't know. But all I know is that a lot of the characters from the 60s are still popular now, and I wonder why that is. Please sound off in the comments below why you think a lot of the characters have been able to endure for at least 60 years. Comment below. And my number one is the Batman. The Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader. Yes, Batman is one of my favourites, guys. He's managed to have a comic twist at him in the 60s. He's had a really serious twist at him in the 80s and the 2000s. And now he's an immortal character that's in the hearts of everyone, young and old. Because Batman seems to just have that generational appeal. And that's why he's my number one. He appeals to children, adults, the elderly alike. Batman is one of my favourites because he's similar to Iron Man in some ways, but has a darker past. His parents were killed, and he's managed to avenge their deaths ever since. With the host of technology he's got at his fingertips, armour, and a drive to be fit, martial arts. He's got so many things going for him, and he's got a wealth of bad guys to oppose him as well, including the Joker, Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc. The list could go on. Calendar Man, Bane, also a very notable bad guy in the Batman's past, where he actually managed to break the bat. One of my favourite stories with Batman has to be Batman vs Predator, believe it or not, because it involved two of my favourite universes. So you've got science fiction and you've got dark comic book action colliding, and I won't tell you the end, but please look it up. It's a really good storyline, Batman vs Predator. And that's why Batman is my number one favourite, is that he's dark, suspenseful, he's got the powers of mind, he's a very good detective, he's got ace combat, knowing hundreds of different types of martial arts, wrestling, he's able to create gadgets. That is why he's my number one favourite, because he can pretty much beat everyone with his mind and his powers of ingenuity with the gadgets, and that's why he's my number one and my favourite, guys. So sound off if you enjoyed today's episode. I'd love to hear what you think. Was it spiffing or a load of old piffle? Please comment below. Okay guys, I'll see you on Saturday for another Spooky Saturday creepypasta. See you then guys, bye!